Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Surovell.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Speaking against the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard from this side a lot about how this budget doesn't go far enough, and that still is the case even after the debate we've had here on the floor. This budget doesn't go far enough for pre-K education. A vote green on this budget cuts $6.4 million out of pre-K and allocates it and spreads it around the budget instead of putting it in pre-K. It does not hold education harmless. It doesn't go far enough. Mr. Speaker, this budget doesn't go far enough in terms of supporting our teachers and our state employees. There are raises, but if you look at what the Senate's proposed, we could do more. We could do better, and we should do better. Mr. Speaker, this budget doesn't go far enough because it doesn't fully fund our rainy day contributions. Now that revenues are going up, that means we got to put more money in the rainy day fund, and we ought to put more money aside. We ought to be more prudent so that we don't end up getting hurt by that in the future. Mr. Speaker, this bill doesn't go far enough on voting machines. We have long lines at our polls, and our governor has put money in this budget to shorten lines and to pay for equipment so our localities don't pay for it, so we don't have to pay, our constituents don't have to pay for it with their real estate taxes. It doesn't go far enough to protect voting. It doesn't go far enough because it also doesn't go far enough to help our mentally ill. And I know the other side has their own proposal, but the governor's proposal is a fine proposal. It's been approved by the federal government. They think they think it'll work. It's not clear that what the committee has come up with is even something that will be accepted. And we put that entire program at risk by even voting to validate a program that hasn't been accepted by the federal government yet. Mr. Speaker, this bill doesn't go far enough because it doesn't get rid of all these tax incentives, or these tax exemptions and tax credits and all these tax preferences that are out there. We're still funding things like coal. We're still funding things like private school tax credits. We're funding things like tax exemptions for yachts. There's all kinds of actions that we could take to get rid of these tax preferences that don't need to remain on the books, that could give us more money to spend on important priorities like our teachers, like our children, like health care. And Mr. Speaker, most importantly, this bill still ignores the fact that as of this minute, we have refused to accept $1.7 billion, $1,793,132,000 and about $500 federal dollars that we have refused to accept today because we want to take some political stand against our president. Mr. Speaker, we talked a lot about kitchen table issues earlier this session. I heard a whole press conference about kitchen table issues. And I know there's a whole bunch of people in this state that sit at their kitchen table and worried that they are one health care problem away from bankruptcy. They're one health care problem away from being evicted from their house. They're one health care problem away from personal family destruction. And we have a solution to that, Mr. Speaker. We need to bring back the money that we're sending to Ohio, to California, to New York, that other Republican governors have chosen to accept. We need to bring that back to Virginia. The numbers are out there that by bringing it back, we free up over $100 million a biennium. Some people say $180 million a biennium to spend on our priorities. By bringing it back, we create 30,000 jobs, desperately needed jobs in this state. We're not going far enough to bring back that money to create those jobs. By bringing back that money, we improve our quality of life for our Virginians. Mr. Speaker, this budget doesn't go far enough. And by not accepting that money, by not taking that step, by not doing the things that everybody else in this country is starting to do, by expanding Medicaid, by providing health care to people who need it, we are committing political malpractice here by voting for this budget. Mr. Speaker, I'd urge the body to vote against the bill.